Greetings, precious friends, brothers, sisters, devotees of the divine. In esoteric circles, I am often known as Adesh Wodan, and certainly known as Adesh by my closest and dearest friends. This is part 2 of a 2-part series of the secret to the mastery of Kundalini Yoga. The secret to the mastery of Kundalini Yoga. In the first part, I went through a basic definition of Kundalini, the life force of the universe, including you. I went through the idea that yoga is a union or an alignment of you with the universal forces of God, if you prefer. And I explained that in my worldview, there are 7 aspects or 7 facets of Kundalini Yoga, which I will go through very quickly to refresh your mind. This is not to be remembered, but just to understand the concept. First of all, there's pranayama, or breath. There's breathing and all the different types of breaths that entails. So important. Next, there is gazing, or tatrak, or visualization. Before you put your focus, what you look at, what you see. Next after that is sound. Mantra is so important. All sound is important. Next after that comes the gestures, or the mudras that we do with our hands and fingers, and even with our toes in some circumstances. After that comes the positions, the asanas that you put yourself in, that you move into. And of course the bandhas, the flexing and tightening and holding different places in the body. Next we come to the idea of movement, or chalan, the cadence, the repetition, the rhythm of a particular movement or set of exercises. And all of these are bundles or methods. If you look at things like Kundalini Yoga as a full and complete system, in that system we come down to particular methods which I described as bundles of techniques, and then you get down to the specifics. So that is the foundation of what Kundalini Yoga is. Now, there are so many different schools because no one can combine or know or understand all of the multitude of possibilities of the combination of these things. And we do these exercises and these things because your body is full of nerve endings, some in the physical, and then there are other things in that meet and come from other dimensions that meet that from your other bodies and from other parts of you. And when you do these exercises and you do these sounds and you do these movements and these bandhas, it stimulates and activates parts of you so you can come into alignment. That is basically what went through in part 1. Laboriously perhaps, but it's important to have a foundation. And speaking to that, with my 44 years of intermittently practicing Kundalini Yoga, remember, all yoga is Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini Yoga is the mother of all yogas, but there are various schools. There are teachers who come from certain places, so they name their kind of yoga a certain name, and they come up with their exercises. It's kind of like exercising for general physical fitness, and someone's got this way of doing it and that way of doing it, and they do their exercises, and people's a follower of this path or that path. Kriya Yoga has certain levels and has certain precise set of exercises. You do level 1, level 2, and you go higher, and that's it. That's the whole ball of wax. There's a number of exercises so that you can release and untie the 3 knots that are described from the Lahira Mahase schools. There are, of course, there's the Hatha Yoga. There's Ashtanga Yoga. There's the Royal Road. You look it up. You Google. There's all kinds of different paths of yoga. Each one of those, however, provides you the opportunity to becoming a teacher, to becoming an instructor, to master a set of exercises, to master a certain aspect or a sliver of the potential of Kundalini Yoga. And then you teach those. But Kundalini Yoga is not a multi-marketing vehicle. And in order to go beyond being just a cook or someone who reads and studies literature and scriptures, to be able to create yourself, you need to go a step further. How do you do that? I started out last session and this one talking about foundations. You must have a foundation. Find your teacher and study. You can study from books, you can watch things on the internet, but it's important to have someone who is competent. And who is competent? You'll find out as you work with them, using your own intellect, your own intuition, if you will. You need to learn if you're doing Kapalabhati right. You need to know if you're doing the exercises appropriately and how to do them. And you need to learn how to do it. Just like you might say the prayer that I like, the Lord's Prayer. There might be a set of exercises that might be popular, that everybody does and they enjoys, and it gives you certain peace and a certain experience. And as you get that foundation, then you learn. You learn what the breath can do. You learn what the exercises can do. You get in touch with your body. You feel your body. You feel the stimulation. You feel the emotional release. You feel the emotional, I was going to say emotional bliss, but bliss is beyond the emotion. It's at a whole different level in my experience. So you need to put all these things together, and you need to find your set of exercises. You need to come and say, this is what I do. I can play this tune and that tune and that tune. You want to be a cowboy poet? You might study someone else's poetry, see how they do it, see how that works, how the rhyme works, how the meter works. Find out how the rhyming works and the different ways of putting things together. Then you can be a person who's not a poet, but is a reciter. And you can become a person who knows a lot about cooking, but if you're using everyone else's recipes, you are knowing their recipes, and you're a cook. You're not a master chef. And no matter how many scriptures you can read and recite, no matter how much you do in these areas, until you can create yourself, you're not a master. You're a follower. You're an instructor. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for some who wish to go farther, there's a better way. When you've reached the point, and it comes not all at once, it might come rapidly and then go for time. Times it might be there, times it might not. You can feel what your body wants or needs. Ever feel tired and your body wants to stretch, it wants to move? Ever feel like you need to yawn? You ever feel that you just need to get up and move around and get some fresh air? These are little examples, almost metaphorical, such plain examples, because you get in touch with your body. As you learn your particular path, as you learn from your instructor, if you will, from your teacher, if you see it that way, as you learn and you master sets of exercises, and you get to experience that, you begin to form an inner connection. An inner connection. And sometimes as you're practicing, you may notice that, well, yeah, I'm supposed to do this next, but the body just wants to go here, or it just feels like I want to go in that direction. It's like the body is speaking to you or calling to you. Not like a craving, but it's almost like a knowing within that your body has responded to what you've learned, what you've showed it, and now it wants to work with you. It wants you to do other things in different ways. So when it comes time to master Kundalini Yoga, no one can know all the exercises. No one can know all the possibilities. That's why we have so many schools. People just focus on this and that and the other. And this is going to be very controversial. And I hope I haven't used too many words or too many notes, as they say sometimes. But I want to be clear the concept that is coming here as we work into the elucidation of the secret of mastering Kundalini Yoga. You must have a teacher. You must have experience. You must have knowledge. If you stand forth full-blown and already know it when you're born, so be it. But for the 99.99% of the rest of us, find a teacher, learn those exercises, get familiar with them, feel good about them, know what they are, have a lot of different arrows in your quiver, things that you can do. Know that how something affects you if you're starting to get feeling like you've got a cold, feeling what you need to do if you feel like you're all worked up and excited. You just need to calm down and find that peaceful spot again. Those are the things that you need to learn first. And another area I will go into briefly. When you're doing yoga, you do not want to force or provoke yourself or your body. You don't want to be lazy. You don't want to do it haphazardly, but you don't want to force and press. I have seen people work so hard that they've injured themselves, that they have almost passed out from pushing breathing techniques that they did not understand and didn't do properly. I've seen people push and push and push with such intensity that they became a bundle of just tension and how to make it work. This is not the way. And the way isn't to be sloppy, like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I'll do my little mantra or whatever. You need to be precise. You need to respect the technique, the methodology, which has come down through going God knows how many generations, hundreds for sure, some say thousands, hundreds for sure. You need to find that sweet spot when you do your yoga. That place where, yes, you might be physically challenged, but that place where you are pushing yourself and you're growing. That's extremely important in any yoga you do. So, how do you know what exercises to do? When you learn a dozen kriyas, or 2 dozen, or 3, or 30, or 108, your tradition might tell you, well, they go in a certain order, and that's what you do. Your tradition might tell you, well, when you get to a certain point, you don't need them anymore because you've hit the mark, and now you can just move in and out of whatever states of consciousness or whatever you want to do. But how do you know which set of exercises to pick? And the way you understand that or select it when you do your teaching, some of it is intellectual, but the better part of it is what you have learned through discernment. You can discern what is just your mind talking, and you can discern and have intuition. For intuition, applied intuition, is the secret of mastery of Kundalini Yoga. I know this is controversial. People say you shouldn't just make up your own exercises. And you don't make up your own exercises. They are created with an inner consciousness, with a partnership and understanding, you feeling a connection, where you are experiencing perhaps guides, spirits, coming to you from other times and other places, teaching you, showing you, encouraging you, pushing you, tugging you just a little bit, and they will come for you when the time is ready. And through that practice, you will begin to form your own kriyas. Don't just grab anything. There's mushrooms over there that will do bad things for you, but there's others that can heal you. But as you learn the language, and then the spirit, the energy, as it comes and fills you, you can feel led to do movements like this, to do sounds like this, to produce a mantra, if you will, that you never heard before. For when you put together, when you create your own kriyas, based upon your knowledge, based upon not this knowledge, but this knowledge, melding it together, then you have mastered. You can go into a situation, and might not be happening all the time, but on occasion you will feel that connection, and you'll look at the people in front of you and you'll know what might be useful for them. And you'll prescribe, if you will. For other aspects of Kundalini Yoga, get into healing, and that creates perhaps political and legal issues, because as a practitioner of Kundalini Yoga, you shouldn't prescribe anything to heal anyone, to make them better, to make them stronger. Use all the healing arts together, and it's the individual who decides. Very important that you get this. And as the presence gets stronger in you, as you understand, as you feel the connection, you will be led, and you will create a kriya, whether it's just for an afternoon or whether it's something regular that's given. And much of it will be very similar to what you already know. But to master Kundalini Yoga, you have to learn how to come out of the flower of your foundation and let the pollen go and create. And to feel, be inspired, to be connected, to be directed, and to allow, almost like a channeling, like some people channel words, you can channel your own kriyas as your body moves and directs you. So, this is the secret to mastery of Kundalini Yoga. Some teachers have been told that they just make up things on the spot. No. A great teacher, a true master of Kundalini Yoga, can prescribe, can present exercise or way of doing things on the spot. It doesn't negate the foundation. If you're going to write poetry, cowboy poetry is still going to be in English. You're still going to use cowboy words, but you might come up with a way of looking at a horse. You might come up with a way of riding. You might come up with an exciting experience that you've never quite known before, and be able to share it with others. And that is what it means to be a master of Kundalini Yoga. If any of you find any of this useful, want to hear more, you should subscribe. Send me comments what you think. You don't have to be a master of Kundalini Yoga. but some are. Some stumble into it. But dear brothers and sisters, the yoga called Kundalini is so encompassing. It's everywhere and within everybody. It is the essence of life, and learning how to partner with it is so joyous. And these are joyful times. These are magnificent times. It's a marvelous age that we have stumbled into. So, I can speak more. I can speak of dangers that people experience or see, so-called. I can speak of different paths. I can speak on many subjects. I have been chided to start doing some videos. I've been asked to do some videos, so this is the first one. If you subscribe, I'll know there's purpose to it. Otherwise, I probably won't make the effort. So, I am Adesh, and I am here. I am a Jnana Yogi, and I am most delighted and humbled and appreciative of this magnificent life and the many teachings that so many have shared with me. Shannaleke porokata, tanele koroko nahate, tanareke poroko nahate, shannaleke korokota, aomaha dharma adnipuche.